السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome back to our Aqidah lesson. Today we are going to continue from where we stopped, and we are going to read the Wahdaniyatullah Ta'ala, inshallah, from the book of Abu Hanifa, which is called Al-Fiqhul Akbar. We are going to read from it the Wahdaniyatullah, the absolute oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, he said in the Fiqhul Akbar, Wallahu ta'ala wahidun, and Allah is one, la min tariqil adad, not in a numerical multitude. Allah is absolutely one, but His oneness is not in a way of numerical counting or numerical numbering. ولكن من طريق, but in a way that He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, أنه لا شريك له, that He, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has no partner. لم يلد ولم يولد, He begot not, nor was He begotten. ولم يكن له كفوا أحد, and He has no equivalent to Him. He has no equal. He has no one who is equal to Him. لا يشبه شيئا من الأشياء من خلقه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not resemble anything among things from His creation. Yani, among the creations of Allah, Allah does not resemble anything. ولا يشبهه شيء من خلقه, nor does anything from His creation resembles Him. لم يزل ولا يزال بأسمائه. He has always been and will always be with His names, وصفاته الذاتية, and then His attributes, which are His zatiyyah, His essence qualities, والفعلية, and His actions qualities. Allah has always been with His names and with His essence qualities and His actions qualities. Yani Allah has never gained any name because He has done something. Allah has never gained any quality because of something that He has done. Allah has never gained any of His qualities. His quality has always been with Him and will always be. It has no beginning. أما الصفات الذاتية, and when we said the sifat الذاتية, they are what? فالحياة, being living. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the absolute living one, and His living has no beginning and it has no end. والقدرة, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the capability. He is the capable one to do anything He wants at any time He chooses for that thing to happen. And then, wal ilm, Allah is the one who possesses the absolute knowledge of everything. Allah is the one who has the absolute knowledge. He knows everything hidden plainly, whether it's done in seclusion, it is done openly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has full knowledge of it. Wal kalam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He speaks. Was-sam'u, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He hears everything. Wal-basaru, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He also sees everything. Wal-irada, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the wishes. At any time He wishes something to happen, that thing will happen. The time that He wants it not to happen, it is not going to happen. Everything is done with His irada. So these are the main sifat al-zatiyyah. These are the main qualities of Allah that are His essence qualities. And scholars differentiate the sifat al-zatiyyah and sifat al-fi'liyah in a way that if you see an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which its opposite cannot be associated with Allah, then they say that sifat is sifat-xatiyya. For example, when you said Allah is alimun, Allah is the absolute possessor of knowledge. Allah knows everything. You cannot give it opposite that Allah is jahil. Wa iyadhu billah. You cannot give that opposite uh, quality to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the alim will be his sifat al-dhatiyya. But for example, when you say Allah is muhyi wa mumit, Allah is the one who gives life and He is the one who causes death too. So that means giving the life and taking the causing death, both qualities can be associated to Allah. Then the scholar will say such qualities will be sifatul fi'liyya. And so they give the mostly when they are giving the sifatul zatiyya, they usually give these seven. That these are the main seven that we know. We do not limit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sifat based on numbers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows the total number of His sifat. But based on what we know from His sifat, these are the main sifat al-dhatiyya. Then there are others which are maybe be built upon these seven sifat. And then وأما الفعلية but أما فعلية but those qualities of Allah which are classified under His actions or the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you name them as these sifat are based on the sifat fi'liya. They are فالتخليق, His ability of creation, the creation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator. Creations, والترزيق, and providing, والإنشاء, and initiating the creations, والإبداع, and initiating a creation or starting a creation which the like of it has never existed, والصنع, and functioning of the creations, وغير ذلك من صفات الفعل, and any other صفات الفعل that are not mentioned, right? And any other, يعني, the one we call etc. and others that are not mentioned. لم يزل ولا يزال بصفاته وأسمائه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has always been and will always be with His qualities وأسمائه and His names. لم يحدث له صفة. He has never in any attributes or quality wala ism, nor has He ever in any new name. And when we look at these examples that Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, he gave, he mentioned the insha wal ibda wal sunnah, and then the ibda and the sunnah and takhliq. Those sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are used to describe the initiation of the creation. Either the like of it has already existing or it has not been existing. But the ibda is only used when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates something which it like has never existed. Like when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Badi or samawati wal ard, the one who has initiated the creation of the heaven and earth, in which the like of it has never existed. But the takhliq wal insha, the creation of Allah, Allah can create something which He already created something like it before, right? Well, insha, the insha is initiating the creation, the beginnings of the creation, right? Then wastuno is the function when the creation has been created, how uh, it is being presented or how the surface of it is looked. Allah, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created human being, you see the human being is being functioned in the best form. You are standing on your foot, you have your two arms, everything is intact. So the apparent view of the creation is the sun, right? So that is the little difference between those words. So, and he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his attributes or his names, none of them is being acquired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are always azaliyah. They has no beginning, right? And so let's clarify and summarize the wahdaniyat Allah ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in Surah Al-Ikhlas, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, right, which Abu Hanifa rahimahullah he used to clarify his statement, which he said, والله تعالى واحد لا من طريق العدد ولكن من طريق أنه لا شريك له. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, but his oneness is not in a way that which is numerical multitude or numerical counting, but in a way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has no partner. Then Abu Hanifa used Surah Al-Ikhlas because the word used in Surah Al-Ikhlas as Lam Yalid Ikhlas as Qul Huwallahu Ahad, right? As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, right? When you see some of the copy of the the fiqhul akbar, you'll see that they use the full Surah Al-Ikhlas in the context, but some copies only have the Lam Yalid wa Lam Yulad wa Lam Yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. So Abu Hanifa, rahimahullah, he cited Surah Al-Ikhlas to point out that Allahu Ahad, Allah is single or unique one. That means the Ahad is only used for something that cannot be counted, but it is referring to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Abu Hanifa said that he used Surah Al-Ikhlas as Allah has what? Allah is one, and his oneness has no numerical state. Someone can say something is one, and he meant by half of two, right? So two divided by two can give you one. Someone can say one, and it can mean that 0.5 plus 0.5 will give you one. But when we, the Muslims, we said Allah is one, it means that that oneness is not numerical. It's not the counting one that we mean. We mean that He is unique in everything. He's one in everything. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has no partner. That's why He said, Lam yalid wa lam yulad. He did not beget, and nor was He begotten. He gave birth to nobody, nor did anybody give birth to Him. So He's unique, He's alone in everything. And then nothing resemble Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nor does Allah resemble anything. Right? And then we said the scholars, they group the sifat and the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala into two. The zatiyyah, which is the essence of Allah, the sifat that are explaining the reality or the essence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then the sifat or qualities that are describing the actions or the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done. And so the things that Allah has done, and then we see that Allah has done this, then the fi'liyah, which is describing this fail of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can use both its opposite and itself to describe Allah. We call that sifat al-fi'liyah. And in the Hanafi, yeah, they have a fatwa called Fatawa Zahiriyah. That's in that book by Zahir ad-Din Abu Bakr Muhammad ibn Ahmad al-Qadi al-Bukhari al-Hanafi. He dies at was Hijrah was 619. This scholar, he said in his Fatwa Zahiriyah that if someone swear by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sifat, and you have to look at the sifat, if the sifat is zatiyyah, then his swearing is acceptable. But if the swearing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sifat of fi'liyah, then his swearing is not count as swearing. For example, if someone say, bi'izzatillah, I swear by the might of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will be the that of Allah, because you cannot use the opposite of Izzah, which is mighty, was it the opposite of Izzah, the mighty, the opposite will be maybe weakling, right? You cannot use to describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that swearing will be counted as swearing. So if maybe there is kafara on that person, you will have to pay it. But if the swearing, if the swearing of that person is he swear by maybe bighadabillah, with the wrath of Allah, then it happened that kafara catch that person. He have to pay kafara on that swearing. Maybe he couldn't fulfill it. They will look at it. If they look at it, and it's because the ghadabillah will be the fa'liyah, because opposite of is rahmatullah. So you can use both the opposite to describe Allah. It means that that swearing is not counted as yamin, yeah, a swearing oath. That is what in Fatawa al-Zahiriyya, the Sheikh Zahiruddin Abu Bakr Muhammad, that's what he gave the Fatawa. And so we can say, though this is one of the reason why the scholars they study and Allah has guided them and they describe the sifat of Allah subhanahu into two, the zatiyyah and fi'liyah. Inshallah, our next lesson we will continue from here. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.